There are two ways that you can establish relationships in Salesforce. You can either use a master detail relationship or a lookup relationship. We're going to take a look at two examples. Let's say that I'm using Salesforce to track a number of different schools, and each school has classrooms. School and classroom are both custom objects, and I want to establish a one-to-many relationship where one school can have many related classrooms. Example 2. Let's say the marketing team wants to track the venue where certain marketing events are held. For instance, if the team sets up a booth at a trade show, they want to capture other information about the venue, such as its address, phone number, occupancy, and so on. In this example, I've created a custom object called venue, and I want to establish a one-to-many relationship where one venue can have many associated campaigns. You could also repurpose the standard account object instead of creating a venue object, but for this example, we're going to use a custom object. Now, with a master detail relationship, all child records must have an associated parent. Child records inherit record-level security from their parent record, and child records are automatically deleted when the parent is deleted. You can establish roll-up summary fields, which allow you to summarize data from related child records. And a quick note here, with a master detail relationship, the detail side of the master detail relationship cannot be a standard object. Now, lookup relationships are optional. There is no impact to record level security, but roll-up summary fields cannot be established. So back to our first example. In this scenario, I would use a master detail relationship where school is the master object and classroom is the detail object. Let's run through this list again. With a master detail relationship, child records must have a parent. For instance, a classroom record would have to be associated to a school. Child records inherit record-level security from their parent, so if a user can view a school record, then they would also be able to view the associated classroom records to that school as well. They do still need access to read the classroom object, however. So if the user doesn't have read access to the object on their profile, they could potentially see the school and no classrooms, but if they have read access to the classroom object, if they can see the school record, then they will be able to see all associated classroom records. Child records are deleted when the parent is deleted. So if I delete a school record, all associated classroom records to that school are deleted as well. And finally, you can create roll-up summary fields on the parent object to summarize data within the associated child records. So, for instance, I could create a field on the school to display the number of associated classroom records. We'll show an example of this in a second. And since the classroom is a custom object, the limitation that a standard object cannot be the detail side of the master detail relationship does not apply. Now let's talk about the venue and campaign example. For this scenario, I would use a lookup relationship. And the lookup relationship is optional, so not all campaigns will necessarily be associated with a venue. There is no impact on record level security. So if a user can view a campaign record, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can view the venue and the associated details with that venue. However, roll-up summary fields are not available for lookup relationships, so I could not create a field on venue to calculate the number of related campaigns. So let's look at an example of roll-up summary fields. On my classroom object, I have a numeric field to indicate the number of seats or the maximum occupancy of that room. Roll-up summary fields allow me to aggregate data from the associated classroom records onto my school record. For instance, I can show that this school has 3 classrooms for a total of 140 seats. All of this is calculated automatically, so if I change or add new classroom records to that school, the roll-up summary fields are automatically updated. As I mentioned before, roll-up summary fields are not available with lookup relationships, and you can have a maximum of 10 roll-up summary fields per object. And this is an important limit to note, as you can hit it if you are summarizing a number of different data points. Here are a few guidelines to consider when choosing between a lookup or a master detail relationship. If the many side of the master detail relationship is a standard object, then you must use a lookup relationship. For instance, one venue can have many campaigns. Campaigns is the many side of that relationship and is a standard object. Therefore, you cannot use a master detail relationship. If the relationship is optional, again, you must use a lookup relationship. For instance, a campaign does not necessarily have to have an associated venue. Now, if you want to use a roll-up summary field, then you have to use a master detail relationship. You may run into a case where you want to use a roll-up summary field and you cannot use a master detail relationship. It does happen, and the alternative is to develop Apex code to work around that limitation. If cascading record security and deletion are appropriate, then a master detail relationship is the way to go. A quick note though, it is possible to do cascading record deletion with some lookup relationships, but that does require feature activation.